Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to get right into this today. Yesterday, we saw the IFT-8 end up being scrubbed. And I stayed up, like I promised you guys, until about midnight or so to see when the next launch is going to happen. Will it happen this morning? Will it happen later on today? And I got some pretty good information. I want to relay it to you and give you an understanding of what happened and where they go from here. So to start out with, everything was looking really good for the launch if you weren't watching. And there was a little bit of weather that was rolling in that gave it about a 20-30% chance of being scrubbed because of weather. That kind of rolled out of the way. So everything was looking pretty good. Now, what I noticed was during the onboarding of the propellant, the liquid oxygen and methane, it seemed to be delayed a little bit. Normally by, let's say, T-minus 2 minutes, 50 seconds, right around there, it would be fully loaded, but it wasn't. Now, was that some type of anomaly during the onboarding? I don't know. Or could it be also a telemetry issue where it wasn't updating the screen? That's possible too. But I did notice that. And we saw that it was going from T-minus 3 minutes and then 2 minutes. And then we finally got to that T-minus 40 seconds. And I said, this is not going to go. Just had a funny feeling about it. And sure enough, it ended up being halted. And supposedly there was a problem with the Super Heavy. Now, that happens sometimes. You get a couple of guys out there with screwdrivers and booster 15 will be fixed. I'm kidding. But after that, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden it said, listen, we have a problem with the Starship now. Ship 34, something's wrong with that. And that was concluded and it was fixed, whatever they did. Once again, little guys with screwdrivers, no problem. And then all of a sudden we have a Super Heavy problem again. So, it went from booster to ship and from ship down to booster again. And I said, there is like too many problems going on here. Like that is not normal. All right. Normally you have something, little small thing here, there, whatever. They might put like a little delay in there. They'll hold the launch and then they'll fix that and off it goes. Remember, guys, they've always had redundancy, right? Instead of having one, they have two because we know one is none and two is one, right? So they've always had that. Now, what I was reporting on in yesterday's live feed is that they've kind of upped their game. Instead of going with just two of something, some systems have 3 and others 4. We're talking about triple and quadruple the redundancy. So if it was just simply a electronic issue, they would just switch over. Let's say there was an ECU problem or some type of module that was failing. No problem. We'll switch over to the other one. We have 4 or 3, whatever. It's no longer 2. So I knew that wasn't it. It had to be something mechanical, right? And what ended up happening was they ended up getting to that T-minus 40 seconds and then it started ticking down and we were all excited. Now remember, this is like, 5 hours into the live show. So it started ticking down. We're like, yes, it got to T-minus 29 seconds, popped back over. We saw like T plus 12 or something just popped up, obviously meaning that it was scrubbed. All right. It went back to T minus 41 seconds or something. It's just, however, it's an anomaly. Either which way, it was absolutely going to be scrubbed. And that's what ended up happening. Sadly, we really wanted to see it after being here for so long waiting. I can't imagine all the people that actually flew into Texas, set up all of their equipment to record this, only to be sent back to the hotel for who knows how many days. So, my heart goes out to those people because that's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of these folks that are there because of the love of what they do. I absolutely love what's going on here. And if it was closer, I would be there too. But as I said, your heart has to go out to them because they end up having to go and either leave permanently because they can't stay for any longer, or they have to go to a hotel and stay there for X number of days. So either which way, I promised you guys I was going to stay up. Now, I have a cold, so I can only stay up so long, but I literally watched this whole process go, and I saw on X, Elon came up with something about an hour, about 80 minutes later. Let's call it an hour and a half later. He said this. This was at 7:52. He said, quote, "Too many question marks and 20 bar low on ground spin start pressure. Planning to destack and inspect ship 34 and booster 15, aiming for a reattempt in a day or 2. Now, while I was watching this, I kept on watching it until about midnight. There was no destack that happened. I didn't see a destack. And then finally I had to go to sleep, right? I took my meds and went to bed. But It could have happened. I don't know. But either which way, supposedly what I heard was the SPMT was en route to go and get it. That's basically the self-propelled modular transport, the transporter, let's call it, that carries this big 200-ton monstrosity. All right. It was on the way to go pick it up, bring it back to the Mega Bay or wherever. So I don't know if that happened or not. But when I woke up, I came in, it was like 6 a.m. or something. I was taking a look at the live feeds, and sure enough, it's all stacked already. So did they destack or did they not? I don't know. But either which way, that kind of doesn't matter. What matters is it was scrubbed. Now, what I want to dive into a little bit is why, okay? We know that there was a problem with the Super Heavy, and then there was a problem with the ship, and then once again with the Super Heavy. The Super Heavy was the final problem. And according to what Elon was saying here, 20 bar low on ground spin start pressure. Now, what the hell does that mean, right? Well, what that means is, I guess I'll give a car analogy, all right? When you start your car, you have a certain amount of pressure of fuel that's going through your fuel injectors to start the car. That's number one. Also, if that fuel pressure is too low, you'll detonate. All right, because your air to fuel mixture is off and you'll end up detonating, blowing a head gasket or something. All right. Well, we don't want to see Super Heavy blow a head gasket, right, guys? So it was not receiving enough pressure. Now, how much pressure was it receiving? It said it was 20 bar low, 20 bar, 4.5, 4.6. I think it's 4.5 PSI. Looking at about 290 pounds per square inch low. Now, normally these Raptor engines run, their spin up runs at about, I think it's right around 700, 725, somewhere around there. It's a lot, okay? But let's call it 725 PSI. Well, it was low by 290 PSI. That is a lot. 290 PSI is the equivalent of being under the ocean like 200 feet. Just to give you an idea. It is a lot of pressure. So this pressure is basically built up by ground equipment. It spins the turbo pumps while it's on the ground, all right, to build pressure so that the fuel, or there'll be enough fuel during the original ignition, and then obviously the engines will suck its own fuel once they're on. But this is the initial pressure, once again, to spin those turbo pumps. I think they use helium or nitrogen or something. Either which way, it spins those turbo pumps to build pressure. And once again, it was 20 bars too low. Not enough fuel to start, or if they did start, they would go out, or if they didn't go out, they could just blow up because there's not enough fuel. So that was the major issue that ended up scrubbing the launch. Now, like I said before, if it had something to do with electronics, they have so much redundancy, 2, 3, sometimes 4 of the same module or electronic, let's say, part, they could have just swapped over. But it wasn't. It had to be mechanical. And that's what I said at the time. If it wasn't mechanical, they would have launched, in my personal opinion. But it was mechanical. Now, was it a problem on the ground where their system couldn't spin these pumps at the appropriate pressure, let's say 700 plus PSI, and they were down by 290 PSI? That's not enough fuel. Right? Was it something on the ground, or was it something worse, something on the Super Heavy that was not allowing the pressure to build, all right, because there was something wrong with the system? That we don't know. So all in all, this was scrubbed, and I'm kind of glad that they scrubbed it, because this, once again, was an electronic issue, was mechanical, and they needed to figure out what the story is. Did they destack and then stack while I was sleeping? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But as of right now, it is stacked, and it looks like the window is going to be the 4th or the 5th. So it's either going to happen later on today or possibly tomorrow. I really don't know. I would venture to say it'll probably happen tomorrow. They'll give it a day and just really go over everything. Because once again, there was a problem with the Super Heavy, and then there was a problem with the ship, and then back again with the Super Heavy, so on and so forth. So there's multiple problems going on here. This is future me. And during editing, I found out that SpaceX actually updated their website. And it now says this: the 8th flight test of Starship is prepared to launch as soon as Wednesday, March 5th. The launch window will open at 5:30 p.m. CT, or 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Back to what the heck I was talking about. Now, if you remember back in early February, mid-February, there was a time where the hot staging ring was uninstalled and then reinstalled and uninstalled, reinstalled a couple of times. What was going on with that? I really don't know. I did hear that there was one of those catch pins, either replaced or fortified or something. So once again, there were issues with this. There was more issues than originally expected. And Elon Musk said that in his quote, "Too many question marks." And that's exactly what the problem was. It was just too much. If it was a couple of things, they just would have let it go. Because once again, that's what SpaceX does. They like blowing stuff up, then iterating, and then finally innovating. Remember, this is innovation. This is a block 2. This is not block 1 anymore. This is block 2. So there's a lot of things that have changed. The size has changed. There's a lot. I went through the entire list on the live. Definitely check that out. Anyways, I'm going to be doing a live again once this thing goes up. We will see. Keep watching. If you're not subscribed, consider doing so. Subscribe to the channel, then click the notification button. So when we do go live, you're notified of it. Check it out. We had over 800. It's like 900. It was a lot of people on live yesterday. It was kind of sad that this ended up with a big turd burger. But sometimes a poop burger happens, and that's what ended up happening here. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, throw it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Don't forget, like I said before, to subscribe and like and share with your community, share all over. And if you want to say thank you for all of my hard work on this channel, there's a thank you button down here. You could give $1 or $2 if you like. If not, it's perfectly fine. The video is still free. Consider becoming a member of the channel. That would be even better. And if you want more SpaceX Starlink specific content and Starship, take a look at this. I put together a playlist just for you, about 430 videos, helpful how-tos, tips, tricks, all kinds of good stuff. So check that out when you're done watching this video. And finally, if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks, check them out. Go to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. And we're going to head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all of my merch and my tees and my books and my shirts and everything else. Pick something up if you like. I would appreciate your support. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and hopefully we'll see this launch go off very soon. Take care, guys.